Update. Am I the a-hole for not letting my sister see her kids? Original post. I, 28 female, obtained custody of my sister's 35 female kids, 9 male, 4 female, 2 female. Back in 2018, after she left them alone for 2 weeks to go on a trip. Read drug bender. Of course, this was a huge transition for the kiddos. They had to be moved schools and daycares and of course couldn't see their mom anymore. Now, the kids are doing better and definitely lead happier lives. Recently though, my sister was released from prison and wants to see the kids again. She called me, begging to have a visit with them and telling me that I could give them back because she was out of prison now. I've had a talk with a 9-year-old, and he says that he doesn't want to see his mom yet and that he still hates her for leaving him alone. The girls have no memories of her, and the smallest one was only 3 months old the last time she saw her. I do feel like I could have helped them foster a better relationship with her, but I don't want to force the oldest into meeting with her when he absolutely doesn't want to. Still, my close family has told me that the oldest son doesn't know what he's talking about. It is my fault that the little ones don't remember their mother because I didn't take them to see her when she was in prison. They also told me that it's my responsibility to force them to meet her, even when they don't want to, because that's what's best for them, and they shouldn't grow up without their mother. So am I the a-hole? Edit. I have spoken to a professional about this, specifically the oldest therapist. They have advised that it should be up to him. I just want to know if I'm being a jerk to my sister. Also, I have adopted the kids and have full custody of them. Now for the top comments before reading the updates. Are you telling me that she left a 3-month-old and a 2-year-old alone for a 7-year-old to take care of? Not the a-hole, absolutely. Anyone who would do that to a kid deserves to be in prison. I think it's great you're respecting the kids' wishes. And if you force this visit on them, you will be the a-hole. Edit. Misleading title, OP. Those are your kids. You're not letting your sister see your kids. If sister thinks the son is old enough to take care of babies at 7, then he's for damn sure old enough to decide not to see her at 9. Anti-A, anti-A, anti-A. People love to forget that children are autonomous beings and can make rational decisions. Young children are extremely impressionable, and all of them are going to be extremely hurt by their mother's abandonment. Forcing them to see their mother when they don't want to is one of the worst things you can do for their well-being right now. The 9-year-old is likely traumatized if he's this insistent that he doesn't want to go. Your family is understandably going to want to fight you for this, since you obtained custody from your sister. Their viewpoints are going to be extremely skewed for a number of reasons, especially your parents, if they just can't believe that their daughter ended up like this, and that it can't really be all that bad. Keep the kids safe. The last thing they need is to be put back with a neglectful family. Not the a-hole. I'm not a child psychologist, but despite what your mother says, it's possible that it could actually be bad for them to see their bio mom, your sister. But you're definitely not the a-hole. Not the a-hole. I am a therapist who has worked with kids in CPS family reunification and permanent foster placement/adoption. Please listen to the oldest therapist and your nephew. He trusts you to keep him safe after all he has been through. If you go against his wishes, this could cause him and his sisters irreparable harm. Your family's invested in maintaining a family unit, not making sure that these kids have the best care. If there is any entitlement from their mom, then she's not ready for a visit or anything. If she's truly ready to make amends, then she will wait for him to be ready, earn everyone's trust, etc. If she isn't ready to do the work or acknowledge the impact of her actions, then no dice. Please protect them, even if it means going against the rest of the family's wishes. Edited to add. Someone asked below what should OP look for if bio parents were serious about wanting to make things right. They would respect oldest child's and OP's feelings/boundaries. Be willing to work with oldest child's therapist if appropriate. Be willing to participate in supervised visitation. If so unwilling, be willing to participate in a recovery program. Not just staying dry and not using, but really investing and participating in getting sober. This would be a start. Again though, the child has to be ready. Not the a-hole at all. OP's job as a mother is to protect those children. Protecting their son means doing what is best for him and respecting his boundaries. Their previous mother is suffering the consequences of her actions, not OP's. OP, you are a wonderful person. I have a toddler and an infant, and if I also had a 7-year-old, I'd likely be cray. I am so sorry you are in this terrible position and so inspired by you. What lucky kids those are, truly. Now for the first update. So I wasn't expecting to make an update post because I honestly wasn't expecting there to be an update to this. Unfortunately, I'm wrong. I gave my oldest 2 weeks to really think about whether he wanted to talk to my sister or not. I figured that the decision he made at first might have been made out of anger, so I wanted to give him time to make such an important decision. Ultimately, he decided that he did actually want to talk to her. I have to admit I was a little bit surprised. But we set up a Zoom call between them anyway, of course with me supervising. Right before the Zoom call, he admitted to me that he wanted to talk to her just to see if she'll say sorry. She did not say sorry. Actually, she opened the call with, "Hello, it's been so long. I guess you're ready to come home with me now?" And then she noticed that I was sitting there with him and almost immediately launched into accusations about alienation and how I have to give the kids back now or she'll call the police and say I kidnapped them. My oldest was very obviously disgusted. He asked her if she was going to apologize to him, and she actually had the audacity to ask what she had to apologize for. At that point, he just shut off the Zoom call. I asked him if he was okay, but he spent the rest of the afternoon in his room by himself. That night, he told me that he never wanted to talk to her again, ever. I told him that never is a long time, but that we weren't going to make him talk to her if he didn't want to, and we were never ever going to give him back to her. He told me that never is a long time, so we told him that in this case, it meant never. I'm still shocked. I don't know what happened to my sister. She was my best friend as a kid. She was almost my second mother. She was sweet and caring and nice. I just don't know how all that changed so fast. Or maybe it didn't change that fast, and I just never noticed until it was too late. And I was driving 4 hours away at midnight to pick up 3 little kids, one of which I didn't even know existed. Before now, I honestly never considered myself as their parent, even after I legally adopted them. More like I was just taking care of them long term. But now I realize that those kids are my kids, and they're going to be my kids for the rest of my, and hopefully, their lives. Thank you for all of your help, guys. I hope you all have a fantastic day. When school starts back up, make sure you make the situation very clear to the school. And take care for the little one as well. There's a good chance she will try to pick them up. Last year at my kid's school, a mother who had lost custody kidnapped her child. She just walked in, chatted with a receptionist, casually said she was picking up the kid for a dentist appointment. By the time she was caught 2 days later, they were in New York. We live in Florida. This happened to my little brother. My mom came and picked him up from the babysitter. When my dad got off from work and went to get him, we found out that she had left him in a hot car, was wasted, and called the cops for some strange reason. Cops ended up calling my dad, telling them our infant brother had been found. We still have no idea what prompted her to call the cops. My little brother was okay, just really red and dehydrated. But now I realize that those kids are my kids, and they're going to be my kids for the rest of my and hopefully their lives. That is the best outlook to have, and I wish you all an amazing life together. You keep knocking it out of the park being their mother. I saw that coming as soon as she said my oldest midway through the post. I was like, oops, she said my. Consciously or not, she views him as hers now. Oh my gosh, I just noticed. I didn't realize I said that. Okay, I'm gonna go cuddle my kiddos and cry now. I'll be back in a bit. I wondered if you noticed you said that. I'm super happy for you and the kids. Not everyone is so lucky to have someone save them from a bad situation. Wishing you all nothing but a bright, shining future together. Now for the second update almost 2 years later. If you're reading this, it's probably because you decided to follow me after reading one or more posts in the Reddit saga that summer 2020 was for me. Okay, life update time. My oldest is now 11. He's in the 6th grade and recently got a shiny new bike with 7 gears and a real light on the front that he's been riding to school. He's also a Boy Scout and is swimming competitively. I'm super proud of that one. My middle is 6. She was diagnosed with autism spectrum disorder last year. It's been a bit of a transition trying to get her the help she needs, but I have to admit, it's comforting to have an actual diagnosis to go with our concerns about her. While not a big TV fan, she loves dogs, Lego creator sets, and somehow matcha green tea. Who would have thought? My youngest from that post is 4. She's generally having a good time, and is the wild child of the family. Kiddo is constantly covered in scrapes from her adventures around the backyard and the neighborhood. She has a balance bike which she loves to ride with her big brother. And last week she caught the neighbor's cat and got a nice scratch from it. Didn't cry though. Tough kid. And surprise, We added kiddo number 4 in October. Neither of us were expecting for me to get pregnant, but it happened anyway. My oldest is super pumped to have a little brother. Baby is, well, baby. He's a pretty chill baby and can sleep through almost anything. That's a plus in my book. Our cat, our beloved Aristotle, passed away in late December. He was very, very old. He did live long enough to meet baby though. I hope you liked him. For those of you who saw these posts, both of my little brothers are in college and back on campus. They came back for winter break and we had a really good Christmas. Culinary school does wonders. For the people who ask, my sister is doing fine. She went through rehab last year and is now in therapy addressing her own issues that led to her addiction. She has a job and an apartment and is going to community college. She has come over for holidays, and she and my oldest go do something together once a month or so. The youngest 3 all see her as an aunt. I know that's something I'll have to explain as they get older. For the first time in a while, I feel like I have my big sister back. I forgot to mention that I got married back in April. It was a pretty small ceremony, so we ended up having it in a friend's backyard. My youngest was the flower girl and another friend made cupcakes for us, and it was everything we wanted and more. We're doing pretty well. My husband and my oldest are putting together a tire swing to hang in the big tree in our backyard. Baby is chewing on my shirt right now, but I don't have to care because I'm on maternity leave. It's great. I am going a little stir-crazy in this house, so I'm gonna try to take the baby out to watch the ducks later. That's generally it. Thank you all for the love and support you poured onto my posts nearly 2 years ago. I hope you all have wonderful, fulfilling lives full of peace and laughter and love. Goodbye. This sister is such an exemplary human being. Great head on her shoulders, and a huge heart made of gold. She actually led a new generation of her family towards a brighter path, despite her sister and her parents' wrongdoings. A great human being indeed. Makes me sad for the sister though. Did you notice Opie in this post mentioned her sister was practically like a mother to her, and a younger brother said the same thing about Opie in his post? The oldest sister didn't get anyone to shield her or attempt to parent her. That's probably why she's such a mess. I know someone who lost custody of their kid and had referred to it as when relatives stole baby. It is like, God damn it, girl. You need to be on your knees thanking everyone that your child didn't have to go into foster care. You messed up so hard that your relative could not even legally let you contact the kid until you got your act marginally more together. Own it and do better. People have infinitely more patience for your rehabilitation when it doesn't include you blaming other people for what you did. It's such a disconnected and messed up love for their kids. Loving someone means their happiness, even if that means being away from you. Even for parents and their children. Good parents recognize their faults and shortcomings and work on it for their kids. The mental distortions going on are immense and absurd to not be able to feel grateful for people taking care of your kids when you legally or otherwise cannot. So many people just see their kids as property. Often, when people talk about protecting children, it has nothing to do with what's best for the children as actual human beings. It's just about protecting the parents' ownership. Now for the last story. Am I the a-hole for dropping my sister's kids at a child-free wedding that she was at? To make a long story short, I, female 25, am a medical student. My free time is very limited and I have lots and lots of commitments. My sister, female 33, has 3 kids all under 10, and she often expects me to babysit for her, which isn't the main problem, but she drops them off at random times with very short notice, or no notice at all. The other day, she called saying she was on her way to drop the kids off at my place, because she was attending her friend's child-free wedding and she couldn't take the kids with her. I had a huge argument with her on the phone because I had to study for my upcoming exam, but next thing I knew, the kids were at my doorstep. And she was already back in the car, then drove off with her husband. I was so angry I couldn't handle it. I decided to get dressed 30 minutes later and take the kids right where their mom and dad were. I drove them to the wedding, which was at her friend's house, and had them go in. The men there tried to stop the kids, till my sister and her husband came rushing. My sister was shocked. She started shouting after me, but I quickly got into the car and drove off. I went home and she started calling me. After she realized I wasn't going to pick up, she sent few texts calling me unhinged and a freaking witch for putting her in this situation and embarrassing her in front of her friends. She mentioned that by bringing the kids to the child-free wedding, I disrespected her friend, which affected their relationship and caused her and her husband to go home and miss out on the rest of the wedding. Her husband called later, and I picked up thinking he'd speak to me irrationally like he always does. But he scolded me saying that it wouldn't hurt if I kept the kids for a few hours, and then expressed how disappointed he was, and how selfish and petty I was to do this to my sister and her kids. Now I'm thinking I should have sucked it up for a few hours. Am I the a-hole? Now for the top comments. Not the a-hole. Your sister dropped her kids off at your house without prior arrangements, assuming you had nothing else to do. She thinks she's entitled to everyone else's time and help. Hint, she's not. You didn't do this to your sister. She did it to herself. She knew she had a wedding to attend and should have arranged with you in advance or hired a babysitter. You did not disrespect her. On the contrary, she disrespected you and doesn't value you or your time. She and hubby decided to be parents. It's their responsibility to take care of their children and not dump it on someone else when it is inconvenient for them. Let's not forget that OP may not even be home whenever these unexpected tests/drop-offs occur. Not the whole OP. And weddings don't happen last minute. It's a planned event. You make children arrangements in advance in order to attend. Absolutely no reason for the parents to drop the kids off last minute unless they're entitled a-holes. OP, not the a-hole. Not the a-hole. You were very nice to them. The other option would have been to call CPS. Yes. I also want to point out that the sister probably had some sort of prior notice that her friend was getting married, and that the wedding was also child-free. She most likely had plenty of time to ask the OP if they were available to babysit, and if not, to find another form of childcare.